You wake up every morning with dreams that feel real. You imagine a better life, more freedom, more confidence, more success. But before your feet even touch the floor, a quiet voice begins to speak. What if you're not good enough? What if you fail? What if everyone else is better than you? And just like that, another day starts with hesitation instead of action. Here's the truth most people never hear. Your biggest enemy isn't failure. It isn't bad luck. It isn't a lack of talent. It's the belief that you can't win before the game even begins. Think about that for a moment. How many opportunities have slipped away because you doubted yourself? How many conversations did you avoid? How many ideas stayed trapped inside your mind because you convinced yourself they weren't good enough? The painful part is that you'll never know what could have happened. Self-doubt doesn't just steal success. It steals possibilities. It steals experiences. It steals the future you were supposed to have. Now here's something that may surprise you. The people you admire aren't fearless. They aren't born believing in themselves every second of every day. They have doubts too. The difference is simple. They refuse to let those doubts make their decisions. That's what separates people who move forward from those who stay stuck. Not confidence, action. Imagine a young man standing outside a building where his dream job interview is about to begin. His hands are shaking. His heart is racing. Every excuse floods into his mind. Maybe I should leave. Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe someone else deserves this more than I do. He has two choices. Listen to fear or open the door. One decision changes everything. Not because success is guaranteed, but because growth only happens after action. Life works the same way for all of us. Every opportunity comes disguised as uncertainty. Every breakthrough begins with discomfort. Every great achievement starts with someone who feels unprepared but moves anyway. If you're waiting until you feel completely confident, you may spend your entire life waiting. Have you ever noticed how children learn to walk? They don't stand up perfectly on the first try. They fall again and again, sometimes dozens of times in one day. Yet they never sit on the floor and decide walking just isn't for them. They simply get back up. Somewhere along the way, we lose that attitude. We fall once as adults, and suddenly we think it defines us. One rejection becomes proof that we're not good enough. One mistake becomes evidence that we should quit. But who taught us that? Who convinced us that failure means we're finished? Somewhere in life, someone criticized us. Maybe a teacher, maybe a friend, maybe even someone we trusted. Their words became our inner voice. Without realizing it, we started repeating those same limits to ourselves. Day after day, year after year. Here's the dangerous part. Your mind believes what you tell it repeatedly. If every morning you say, I can't do this, your brain begins searching for evidence to prove you're right. If you tell yourself you're unlucky, you'll notice every setback while ignoring every opportunity. Your thoughts become filters. They shape the world you see. But imagine changing that filter. Instead of asking, what if I fail? Ask, what if this works? Instead of saying, I'm not ready, say, I'll become ready by doing it. It sounds simple, doesn't it? Yet those small changes completely transform the direction of your life. Think about the greatest achievements in history. Every invention, every business, every masterpiece, every breakthrough. None of them began with certainty. They began with someone choosing belief over doubt. They couldn't see the entire path ahead. They simply took the next step. Here's a question worth asking yourself. What dream have you buried because you stopped believing in yourself? Maybe it's starting a business. Maybe it's writing a book. Maybe it's changing careers. Maybe it's rebuilding your health. Whatever it is, ask yourself something honest. Did you quit because it was impossible? Or did you quit because you convinced yourself it was impossible? Those are two completely different things. The mind has an incredible way of protecting us from discomfort. It whispers excuses that sound logical. Wait until next month. Learn a little more first. Start when everything is perfect. But perfection is one of the greatest lies ever created. Perfect conditions never arrive. There will always be another reason to wait, another excuse to delay, another fear hiding behind a different mask. Meanwhile, life keeps moving. Days become weeks. Weeks become years. Suddenly people wake up wondering where their dreams went. The dreams didn't disappear. They were postponed so many times that they slowly faded away. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine someone who decides that today will be different. They don't feel fearless. They don't suddenly become an expert overnight. They simply decide to stop negotiating with their excuses. One phone call, one application, one workout, one conversation, one page written, just one action. That single action creates momentum. Momentum is powerful because it changes identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who wishes. You begin seeing yourself as someone who acts. And once your identity changes, your habits follow. Your confidence grows. Your results improve. Everything starts with one decision. Many people believe confidence creates action. The truth is usually the opposite. Action creates confidence. Think back to something you once found difficult. Riding a bicycle, driving a car, speaking in front of people. At first, it felt impossible. You doubted yourself constantly, but every attempt taught you something. Every mistake made you stronger. Today you probably do those things without even thinking. So why should your biggest goals be any different? The fear you're feeling right now isn't proof you should stop. It's proof you're standing at the edge of growth. Every meaningful change begins with uncertainty. That's the price of becoming someone new. Here's another thought. The person you want to become already exists, not somewhere else, not in another country, not in another family. That future version of you is created by the decisions you make today. Every choice either builds that person or delays becoming them. Imagine meeting yourself 5 years from now. Would that future version thank you for giving up? Would they be proud that you let fear make your decisions? Or would they wish you had taken just one more chance? Most regrets don't come from trying and failing. They come from never trying at all. Life isn't asking you to be perfect. It isn't asking you to know every answer. It's simply asking you to begin, because every expert was once a beginner. Every successful person once felt uncertain. Every winner once stood exactly where you are now, wondering if they had what it takes. The only difference is that they decided to find out. So before this moment passes, make yourself one promise. Stop waiting for confidence to appear like magic. Stop believing that doubt is a sign to quit. Start treating doubt as a signal that you're about to grow. Because the moment you stop doubting yourself isn't the moment life becomes easier. It's the moment you finally become strong enough to win. The moment you decide to move forward, something unexpected happens. The world doesn't suddenly become easier. In fact, it often becomes harder. New challenges appear. New obstacles stand in your way. And almost instantly, that old voice returns. See, I told you this wouldn't work. That voice isn't trying to tell you the truth. It's trying to pull you back toward comfort. And comfort has never built an extraordinary life. Think about a seed buried beneath the ground. Before anyone sees a tree, that seed must push through darkness. It doesn't complain because no one notices its effort. It doesn't stop because the soil is heavy. It keeps pushing. Every inch upward requires resistance. Without that resistance, there would be no roots strong enough to support the tree later. Your life works the same way. Every challenge you face is building something inside you that success alone never could. Patience, discipline, courage, persistence. These qualities aren't purchased, they're earned. And they're almost always earned during seasons when nothing seems to be going your way. Here's something most people never realize. Success isn't just about reaching a destination. It's about becoming the kind of person who can handle success when it arrives. Imagine giving someone everything they've ever wanted before they've developed discipline, responsibility, or emotional strength. Chances are they'll lose it just as quickly as they gained it. That's why growth always comes before lasting success. Life is preparing you for what you're asking for. But preparation rarely feels exciting. Sometimes it feels lonely. Sometimes it feels unfair. Sometimes it feels like everyone else is moving ahead while you're standing still. Have you ever looked around and wondered why other people seem so confident? They speak boldly. They take risks. They appear certain about everything they do. But appearances are often misleading. Everyone is fighting battles you cannot see. The confident entrepreneur worries about losing everything. The successful athlete questions their performance. The accomplished speaker still feels nervous before stepping onto the stage. Confidence isn't the absence of fear. Confidence is deciding that your purpose is greater than your fear. That changes everything. The problem isn't that fear exists. The problem begins when fear becomes your leader. Imagine getting into a car where fear sits behind the steering wheel. Every decision becomes cautious. Every opportunity looks dangerous. Every dream seems impossible. But what happens if courage takes the driver's seat instead? Fear may still ride along, but it no longer decides where you're going. Ask yourself honestly, who has been driving your life lately? Your dreams or your fears? That question deserves more than a quick answer. Many people spend years blaming circumstances. They blame the economy. They blame their upbringing. They blame their age. They blame other people. While circumstances certainly matter, they are rarely the final decision. History is filled with people who started with almost nothing yet built remarkable lives because they refused to let circumstances become permanent excuses. One person grows up with limited opportunities and spends life saying, I never had a chance. Another person grows up in the same situation and says, I'll create my own chance. The difference isn't the beginning, it's the decision. Every morning, life quietly asks you one simple question. What will you do with today? Not yesterday, not next year, today. Because today is the only place where change actually happens. It's easy to dream about the future. It's much harder to improve this hour. But the future isn't created by giant moments. It's created by ordinary days repeated consistently. One workout becomes a healthier body. One page becomes a book. One customer becomes a business. One conversation becomes a relationship. Greatness is built from small victories that most people overlook. Here's where many people lose. They underestimate the power of consistency. They believe success should happen quickly. If results don't appear within a few weeks, they assume they're failing. But nature teaches us something different. You don't plant a seed today and expect fruit tomorrow. Growth happens quietly before it becomes visible. Your progress may be invisible right now. That doesn't mean it isn't happening. Think about water slowly wearing away solid rock. One drop changes nothing. 1,000 drops seem insignificant. But over time, the impossible becomes inevitable. Persistence accomplishes what force alone cannot. The same principle applies to your habits. Every positive choice is another drop. Every disciplined decision shapes your future. Every moment you refuse to quit becomes another reason you'll eventually succeed. Now consider the opposite. Every excuse also compounds. Every delay strengthens hesitation. Every broken promise to yourself weakens your confidence. This is why keeping promises to yourself matters so much. If you tell yourself you'll wake up early, then do it. If you promise you'll read for 20 minutes, keep that promise. If you commit to exercising, follow through. Why? Because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you send a powerful message to your mind. I can trust myself. And self-trust is one of the strongest forms of confidence you'll ever develop. People often search for motivation, but motivation is unreliable. Some mornings you'll wake up inspired. Other mornings you'll feel tired, discouraged, and uncertain. If your success depends only on motivation, your progress will always be unpredictable. Discipline changes that. Discipline says, I'll do what needs to be done whether I feel like it or not. That mindset separates temporary excitement from lasting achievement. Here's a surprising truth. Your feelings don't always deserve your obedience. Just because you feel afraid doesn't mean you should stop. Just because you feel tired doesn't mean you should quit. Just because you feel uncertain doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. Feelings change. Purpose remains. Imagine climbing a mountain wrapped in thick fog. You can't see the peak. Sometimes you can barely see the next few steps. Does that mean the mountain has disappeared? Of course not. You simply keep moving until the fog clears. Life often works exactly that way. You don't need to see your entire future. You only need enough courage to take the next step. Another mistake people make is comparing their beginning to someone else's middle. Social media makes this even worse. You see finished results but rarely witness the years of sacrifice behind them. You admire someone's success without seeing the mornings they wanted to quit, the failures they endured, the disappointments they overcame. Comparison quietly steals joy. It also steals progress, because while you're focused on someone else's journey, you're neglecting your own. Instead of asking, why am I not where they are? Ask yourself, am I better than I was yesterday? That's the comparison that matters. Progress isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more of who you're capable of being. Never forget this. The world rewards value, not excuses. The more problems you learn to solve, the more opportunities come your way. The more skills you develop, the more doors begin to open. That's why investing in yourself is never wasted. Knowledge compounds, experience compounds, character compounds. Every book you read, every lesson you learn, every challenge you overcome, you're building an asset that no one can take away. One day, people may look at your success and call you lucky. They'll never see the countless mornings you chose discipline over comfort. They won't remember the nights you kept working while others stopped. They'll notice the harvest, but they'll overlook the years you spent planting seeds. That's perfectly fine, because you're no longer working for approval. You're working toward the life you once believed was impossible. And here's the beautiful part. The person who doubted themselves yesterday is slowly disappearing. In their place stands someone stronger, someone wiser, someone more resilient. Not because life became easier, but because they refused to surrender to the voice that once convinced them they couldn't win. That voice grows weaker every time you take another step. Then one day you'll realize something remarkable. The obstacle that once terrified you has become the very reason you're capable of achieving things you never thought possible. There comes a moment in every person's life when they stop asking, "Can I do this?" and begin asking a far more powerful question, "Who do I need to become?" That single shift changes everything. Because success has never been about chasing rewards. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally creates them. Imagine standing in front of a mirror. Not the kind that reflects your face, but one that reflects your habits. What would you see? Would you see someone who keeps their promises? Someone who finishes what they start? Someone who gets back up after every setback? Or would you see a person who keeps waiting for tomorrow? The truth is, your habits tell your story long before your results ever do. Most people think confidence arrives after success. They believe that once they make more money, achieve their goals, or receive recognition, they'll finally believe in themselves. But that's backwards. Confidence grows every time you do something difficult that you once thought you couldn't do. It grows when you choose discipline over comfort. It grows when you keep moving despite uncertainty. Think about a blacksmith shaping a piece of steel. The metal doesn't become stronger by avoiding the fire. It becomes stronger because of it. Again and again, it's heated, hammered, and shaped. If that steel could speak, it might call the process painful, but the blacksmith calls it preparation. Life is your blacksmith. Every disappointment, every rejection, every unexpected obstacle, every moment when you feel like giving up. These aren't signs that you're being destroyed. They're signs that you're being shaped into someone stronger than you were yesterday. Here's something worth remembering. Easy seasons rarely teach lasting lessons. It's during difficult times that you discover who you really are. Anyone can stay positive when everything is going well. Anyone can smile when every door is opening. Character is revealed when nothing seems to be working, yet you continue anyway. Ask yourself this. What if the challenge you're facing today isn't blocking your future? What if it's preparing you for it? That changes the way you look at problems. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" Every obstacle carries a lesson. Every setback carries an opportunity, but only for those willing to look beyond the disappointment. One of the greatest traps in life is believing that one failure defines your future. It doesn't. One bad day doesn't make a bad life. One mistake doesn't make you a failure. One rejection doesn't erase your potential. Yet people allow temporary moments to become permanent identities. They say, "I failed." Then slowly it becomes, "I'm a failure." Do you see the difference? The first describes an event. The second describes an identity. Never confuse the two. Events pass. Identity remains. Protect the way you speak about yourself, because your words quietly become your beliefs. Have you ever noticed that the strongest trees don't grow where the weather is perfect? They grow where the winds are powerful. Every storm forces their roots to reach deeper into the ground. Without resistance, they would never become strong enough to stand for decades. Your struggles are growing roots that success alone could never create. One day people will admire your strength. They won't realize it was built during nights when you wanted to quit. Strength is earned in private long before it's recognized in public. Now think about your daily routine. Not next month, not next year, today. Success is hidden inside ordinary moments. The decision to wake up when the alarm rings. The decision to read instead of scrolling endlessly. The decision to finish one more task when your mind says you've done enough. The decision to practice when no one is watching. These moments seem small, but life is built from small moments repeated consistently. People often wait for life-changing opportunities while ignoring life-changing habits. The opportunity might appear only once. The habit appears every day. Choose the habit. It will prepare you for the opportunity. Here's a powerful question. What would happen if you became 1% better every single day? It doesn't sound impressive. 1% feels almost invisible, but improvement compounds just like interest. Tiny gains repeated over months and years create extraordinary transformation. Most people quit because they can't see immediate results. They dig one well for a few days, then move somewhere else, then another place, then another. They never stay long enough to reach water. Successful people keep digging, even when progress is invisible, even when others lose faith, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed, because they understand something that many never learn. Persistence often outlasts talent. Think about all the talented people who never fulfilled their potential because they gave up too early. Now think about ordinary people who simply refuse to stop. Again and again, persistence closes the gap that talent alone cannot. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You don't have to be the most gifted. You don't have to know every answer. You simply have to keep moving when others decide to quit. That alone places you in a different category. Here's another truth. Your environment shapes your thinking more than you realize. Spend enough time around people who complain, and complaining begins to feel normal. Spend enough time around people who make excuses, and excuses start sounding reasonable. Spend enough time around people who believe anything is possible, and your own vision begins to expand. The people around you influence the limits you accept. Choose wisely. Protect your mind like you protect your home. You wouldn't leave your front door open for anyone to walk inside. Don't leave your mind open to every negative opinion either. Not everyone deserves access to your dreams. Some people will laugh. Some will doubt you. Some will tell you to be realistic. Smile. Then keep working. Results have a remarkable way of answering criticism without saying a single word. Remember, the loudest critics are often the ones who stopped chasing their own dreams long ago. Don't borrow limits from people who surrendered to theirs. Instead, borrow wisdom from those who kept going. Every successful person has one thing in common. They made peace with being misunderstood. At first, people question your vision. Later, they question your methods. Finally, after you've succeeded, they wonder how you did it. The journey never changes. Only the audience does. So stop waiting for everyone's approval. Approval doesn't build your future. Action does. There will be mornings when you feel unstoppable. There will also be mornings when getting out of bed feels like a victory. Both days matter because consistency isn't about performing perfectly. It's about refusing to disappear. Show up again and again and again. Eventually your habits become automatic. Your confidence becomes natural. Your discipline becomes your identity. Then something extraordinary happens. The goals that once seemed impossible begin to feel inevitable. Not because luck suddenly found you, not because life became fair, but because you became stronger than the obstacles standing in your way. Look back at the person you were a year ago. Think about everything you've survived. The disappointments, the uncertainty, the mistakes, the lessons. You're still here. That means you're stronger than you sometimes give yourself credit for. Never underestimate how much you've already overcome. Every challenge you survived prepared you for the next level of your journey. And here's the greatest realization of all. Winning isn't a single moment. It isn't one trophy, one promotion, one business, one achievement. Winning is waking up every day and refusing to let yesterday's fears decide today's actions. Winning is choosing growth over comfort, discipline over excuses, faith over doubt, action over hesitation. Do that consistently, and one day you'll look back in amazement, not because life handed you success, but because you earned it, one decision at a time. There comes a day when you finally notice something remarkable. The challenges haven't disappeared. The world hasn't suddenly become easier. Problems still arrive. Uncertainty still exists. But something inside you is different. The things that once intimidated you no longer control you. The fears that once kept you awake no longer make your decisions. You haven't changed your circumstances overnight. You've changed yourself, and that changes everything. Think back to the person you were at the beginning of this journey. Remember how every obstacle looked like a wall. Every setback felt like the end. Every opinion from someone else carried more weight than your own belief. Now look at yourself. You still face difficulties, but you face them differently. That's real growth. Growth isn't measured by how easy life becomes. It's measured by how strong you become while living it. Here's a truth that many people discover too late. Winning is not an event. It is a habit. It's the result of hundreds of ordinary decisions that nobody applauds. It's waking up when you said you would. It's doing the work even when you don't feel inspired. It's staying honest when cutting corners would be easier. It's choosing patience when frustration wants to take over. Every small decision quietly votes for the person you're becoming. Most people spend their lives chasing motivation. They wait to feel excited before taking action. But motivation comes and goes like the weather. Some days it's bright and powerful. Other days it disappears without warning. If your future depends on your feelings, your future will always be uncertain. The people who consistently win understand something different. They don't negotiate with the work. They don't ask themselves every morning whether they feel like improving. They simply begin. They understand that action creates momentum, and momentum creates belief. Imagine two people standing at the edge of the same road. Both have the same dream. Both have similar abilities. The first person spends years planning, analyzing, and waiting for perfect conditions. The second person starts walking. They make mistakes. They take wrong turns. They stumble. They learn. 5 years later, the distance between them is no longer measured by talent. It's measured by action. Which person do you want to become? Life rarely rewards perfect plans. It rewards consistent movement. Here's another question. What story have you been telling yourself? Maybe you've been saying, I'm too old, or I'm too young, I'm too late. I don't have enough experience. I've already failed too many times. Listen carefully. Those are stories, not facts. And stories can be rewritten. Every chapter of your life has led to this moment. But this moment does not have to look like the chapters before it. The past can teach you without trapping you. Learn from your mistakes, but don't build your home inside them. Too many people carry yesterday like a heavy backpack. Every regret, every embarrassment, every missed opportunity. They keep adding weight until they convince themselves they can no longer move forward. But imagine setting that backpack down. Imagine forgiving yourself. Imagine accepting that you cannot change what happened, but you can absolutely change what happens next. That's freedom. Not because the past disappears, but because it no longer controls your future. One of the greatest victories you'll ever experience is learning to compete with the person you used to be instead of comparing yourself to everyone else. There will always be someone richer, someone faster, someone smarter, someone further ahead. If comparison becomes your habit, satisfaction will always stay out of reach. Instead, ask yourself one simple question at the end of every day. Did I become a little better today? If the answer is yes, then you're winning. Progress isn't always loud. Sometimes it's incredibly quiet. It's choosing patience instead of anger. It's making one healthier meal. It's reading 10 pages. It's making one difficult phone call. It's finishing one important task. These moments seem ordinary, but ordinary moments repeated consistently create extraordinary lives. Here's something that changes the way you see success forever. Success isn't something you chase. It's something you attract by becoming the kind of person who deserves greater responsibility. When you become dependable, people trust you. When you become disciplined, opportunities find you. When you become valuable, doors begin to open. Focus less on chasing rewards and more on becoming someone who naturally creates them. The world responds differently to people who refuse to quit. Not immediately, not magically, but inevitably. Persistence has a quiet power that most people underestimate. It keeps working long after excitement has disappeared. It keeps building when others have stopped. It keeps growing while nobody is paying attention. Then one day everyone calls it an overnight success. But you know the truth. You remember the mornings when no one believed in you. The evenings when progress felt invisible. The moments when quitting seemed reasonable. You kept going anyway. That is why you're standing where you are. Life has an interesting way of testing commitment before revealing rewards. It asks, how badly do you want this? Not once, but again and again. Every obstacle is another question. Every delay is another question. Every disappointment asks whether your dream is stronger than your excuses. How you answer determines your future. Imagine your life 5 years from today. Picture yourself waking up with confidence instead of hesitation. Picture yourself handling problems with calm instead of panic. Picture yourself looking in the mirror with pride because you know you became someone who keeps their word. That future isn't built 5 years from now. It's built today, right now, with the decision you're making in this very moment. Don't wait for another Monday. Don't wait for another year. Don't wait until everything feels perfect. Life rewards those who begin before they feel ready. Remember this whenever doubt returns. And it will return. Not because you're weak, but because you're human. The difference is that now you'll recognize it for what it is. A visitor, not a leader. Let doubt knock on the door if it wants to. Just don't invite it to sit at the head of your table. Don't let it write your story. You hold the pen now. Every sunrise gives you a blank page. Every decision writes another sentence. Every action creates another chapter. The ending has not been written. That means possibility is still alive. Maybe today is the day you finally make that phone call. Maybe today is the day you start the business you've been dreaming about. Maybe today is the day you apply for the opportunity you've been avoiding. Maybe today is the day you choose health over excuses. Maybe today is the day you stop asking for permission to become the person you were always capable of being. Because here's the greatest lesson of all. The life you've been waiting for has been waiting for you too. Not for a different version of you. Not for a fearless version. Not for a perfect version. For the version willing to take the first step. And then another. And another. Until one day you realize you are no longer chasing success. You have become the kind of person who creates it. So when you leave this moment, make one promise to yourself. No more shrinking your dreams to fit your fears. No more waiting for confidence before taking action. No more allowing yesterday's failures to decide tomorrow's possibilities. Stand up. Take the next step. Keep your word to yourself. Learn from every setback.